Okay, so Saudi Arabia, wow. This place really is, it's still the largest oil producer. And again, that has brought a lot of things in to the Saudi Arabians that oil brings, including infrastructure, cultures, lots of Western cultures that do clash with the very strict traditional Wahhabi culture of Saudi Arabia, where women don't drive. Extremely modern though, especially very modern here along this coast. And then there's still camels and very traditional lifestyle here in the desert. This is known as the empty quarter. And there's still camels across the desert. The best way often to get across where there isn't infrastructure. But the Arabians are trying to develop these areas. There are zones of development zones, which are for tourism. And Mecca and Medina have thousands and thousands and millions of people, visitors every year. There are pilgrims that come for Hajj, because that's one of the foundations of Islam, that making that Hajj, making that journey at least once per lifetime. And so you have these visitors coming to Mecca and Medina here. So there's really a lot of development occurring. And of course, in the places in Saudi Arabia that, especially along the coast, there's so much infrastructure and modern development going on. And yet, women are still covered, and they wear the headscarf and the covering, and the segregation of the sexes in public places, and not having parties that have, for youth, girls and boys wouldn't be at the same parties. So this is still a very traditional place. It's Wahhabi, and it's still very, very traditional. Now, the sect of the global terror sect of Al-Qaeda is Wahhabi at base. And people from Saudi Arabia would certainly join, but it's not per se of Saudi Arabia. It's a global terrorist network. Okay, Yemen. Yemen is an interesting place because really there's two Yemens. It has a huge history of trade where the caravans, the trade during the times, from Africa and then to Asia, the Silk Road went through here, and with Europe. So really, this is such a crossroads. Here in Yemen, the people that live along the coast and in this part of Yemen, that would be one Yemen, and then there's another Yemen that's very isolated and far more, there's actually a history of pirates and a very, sometimes romantic, but very dangerous history, really. And people that really want to go their own way and be different. The knife that is worn, it's a curved knife, is worn, and a guy would wear it just right in the center here. People have those knives, and so don't cross somebody or be discourteous, really, in that part of Yemen, because law is very strict. And so there was two Yemens. Actually, hard to govern with two Yemens for a long time, but really there's been, the two Yemens have joined together, and so now Yemen is one Yemen, and it is becoming more progressive in a lot of ways, but we have to remember there's still that other Yemen too that still exists. Oman, again, the Omanis actually have a history of connection with the United States. They sent an envoy that showed up, I believe it was to New York, with a ship of Omanis, and there's been a lot of back and forth. Now it is a strict civilization, yet in some ways Oman is very progressive too. For instance, women still covered, and yet they are often highly educated too. There are the Doha Rounds, which are sometimes, it's an international kind of a get-together for conventions, the Doha Rounds, which often meet there. Oh, that might be Qatar. Uh-oh. See, here I am getting mixed up again. So I'm going to check that real quick for you.